In the summer of 1587, more than 100 men, women, and children vanished into the wilderness of the New World. They left behind no bodies, no blood, no graves. Only a single word, carved into a weathered tree, Croatoan. And for over 4 centuries, that word echoed through history like a ghost, murmuring a mystery no one could solve. Presidents puzzled over it. Poets dreamed about it. Historians argued. And now, in 2025, something has changed. A discovery that could finally crack America's oldest cold case. What really happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? If you're fascinated by unsolved history, groundbreaking science, and the real stories behind the myths, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and stick around. Because today, we're going to uncover ancient soil, forgotten artifacts, and a truth buried for over 400 years. This isn't just about a colony lost, it's about a people found. Let's rewind the clock to 1584. England was on the rise, hungry for colonies to compete with Spain. Queen Elizabeth I gave a charter to one of her trusted favorites, Sir Walter Raleigh, to explore and claim territory in the New World. By 1585, the first English colonists set foot on what we now call Roanoke Island, just off the coast of modern-day North Carolina. The land was unfamiliar. The climate was humid. Relationships with native tribes were delicate. That first colony? It failed. But 2 years later, a second group tried again, this time, families. Children. People planning to settle, build, and thrive. Among them was John White, the appointed governor. And his pregnant daughter Eleanor Dare, who would give birth to Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. But hardship came quickly. The colony lacked supplies. And tensions with nearby tribes were rising. So John White made a desperate decision. He would sail back to England to request reinforcements, leaving behind his daughter, granddaughter, and the rest of the colony. He promised to return quickly. But then, disaster struck. England was under threat from the mighty Spanish Armada. Every seaworthy ship was conscripted to defend the homeland. And White? He was stranded in England for 3 long years. When he finally returned to Roanoke Island in 1590, he expected joy. Reunion. Laughter. What he found was silence. The houses were gone, dismantled, not destroyed. There were no signs of a fight. No corpses. No blood. No screams in the trees. Just one word, carved into a post, Croatoan. No cross, no distress signal, just a name. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island, and of the friendly native tribe who lived there. But White never made it to Croatoan. Bad weather forced his ship to turn back. He would never return. And so, the fate of the Roanoke colony slipped quietly into legend. What followed were 400 years of speculation. Theories flourished. Were they massacred by hostile tribes? Did they starve, die of disease? Did they sail away, or vanish in the wilderness? Others believed something stranger. Were they abducted by the Spanish? Did they assimilate into native communities, leaving their English identity behind? Was Croatoan not a location, but a warning? The mystery became part of American folklore. Authors wrote poems. Presidents cited it. Paranormal shows tried to explain it. But no one could answer the one question that mattered most: where did they go? Until now. In 2025, a series of shocking discoveries, deep in the forests of North Carolina, may have finally revealed the truth. For centuries, the Roanoke mystery seemed locked behind time. But in scattered corners of history, there were whispers, clues too strange to ignore. They hinted at a truth buried beneath skepticism and legend. In the 1700s, English settlers in the Carolinas encountered native tribes with gray eyes, European names, and stories of white ancestors. One such group, the Lumbee, claimed descent from lost colonists. Oral history, passed from generation to generation, spoke of an intermingling few were ready to believe. Then came the Dare stones, large engraved rocks discovered in Georgia and North Carolina, allegedly left by Eleanor Dare, the daughter of Governor John White. One stone chillingly read, "Anya English gone to heaven 1591. Though most were later deemed fakes, one or two remain undecided, and haunting. For years, mainstream historians dismissed these as folklore, fabrications. But taken together, these fragments hinted at a story that demanded a second look. Fast forward to the 21st century. Technology changed the game. In 2012, archaeologists from the First Colony Foundation zeroed in on a new site, 50 miles west of Roanoke Island, along the Albemarle Sound. They called it Site X. There, they discovered tantalizing evidence, pottery consistent with English design, a 16th-century rapier hilt, copper eyelets, and glass beads buried deep in the soil. These weren't trade items, they were tools of settlement. LiDAR scans revealed the remains of wooden structures hidden beneath forest growth. The layout? Colonial in pattern. But why would settlers abandon Roanoke and rebuild this far inland? Historians believe desperation forced the move. Roanoke's isolation and scarcity of resources may have pushed the colonists to seek alliance, and shelter, with the Croatoan, or perhaps flee inland where survival chances were higher. Each shovel of dirt brought more evidence that the lost colony had not disappeared, they had simply moved. But it wasn't until 2025 that the final piece of the puzzle emerged, from the soil itself. In partnership with Duke University and National Geographic, the First Colony Foundation employed a groundbreaking tool, environmental DNA analysis, or EDNA. This process allows scientists to extract genetic material from ancient soil samples. The results? Stunning. Samples from Croatoan-associated burial grounds and Site X tested positive for mitochondrial DNA of European origin, specifically from women. This ruled out short-term contact or trade. These were not just passers-by, they had lived, died, and been buried here. Combined with the artifact evidence and structure mapping, it told a clear story. At least some of the Roanoke settlers had assimilated with local native communities, forming new families, adapting to a new way of life, and vanishing from English memory. After 438 years, it appeared we had our answer. The lost colony was never lost. It evolved. So what does this mean? Why does this discovery matter? It's more than solving a colonial mystery. It's about understanding the real beginning of American identity. Until now, Jamestown, founded in 1607, has always been considered the first permanent English colony in America. But if the Roanoke settlers survived, if they lived on through their children with the Croatoan, then Jamestown wasn't the beginning. It was the continuation. This changes the narrative taught in textbooks for centuries. It reframes native and colonial relations, not as one of instant conflict, but of potential cooperation. Imagine, a new society, formed decades before Plymouth Rock, where survival came not from dominance, but from unity. In that story, America's roots grow not only from Europe, but from indigenous soil, culture, and wisdom. But not everyone agrees. Controversy emerged almost immediately. Critics pointed to the possibility that the artifacts at Site X were the result of trade, not settlement. That the DNA evidence, while groundbreaking, didn't prove integration, only contact. Historians and archaeologists clashed on television debates and academic panels. Was the evidence definitive? Or just compelling? Even the Dare stones, once dismissed as hoaxes, are now being reconsidered by some, while others hold firmly to skepticism. This is the burden of historical science. The past doesn't come with perfect clarity, it comes with fragments. And sometimes, fragments spark fire. Yet more and more researchers believe the Roanoke mystery is closer to closure than ever before. And even skeptics admit, 2025 brought us the most plausible answer we've seen in 438 years. So what really happened to the lost colony? Maybe they didn't disappear. Maybe they adapted. Maybe they found family in an unfamiliar land. The carving of Croatoan wasn't a mystery, it was a message. A direction. A legacy. They didn't die out. They transformed. And today, their descendants may still walk among us. In the bloodlines of the Lumbee. In the stories of the Hatteras. In the DNA hidden in Carolina soil. History often forgets the quiet endings. But this story, this resolution, is powerful in its humility. Survival isn't always loud. Sometimes, it carves itself into trees, and waits. Like. Comment. Subscribe. And share your thoughts below. Do you believe the mystery is finally solved? Or is there more waiting to be uncovered? Thank you for watching. This is Shadow Files. Until next time, keep questioning history.